Hello, this is day 2 of Who.
Oh crap, I have to do 50 days of this. Okay, what do we got next? Something called Hunters of Earth. Let's give this one a listen. Hooray! We have another prequel, and this one doesn't have George Lucas's name attached to it either, so that's already a good sign. I gotta be honest with you people, I had less excitement for this one compared to the previous thing we covered yesterday. Quinnis took something that I was curious to see. Yeah, it was just an offhand reference made in an older episode, but in all honesty, there's potential to go back and see what that adventure would have maybe looked like. We're kind of dealing with a case of getting one thing I wanted and getting something I never knew that I wanted to see. I mean, listen to. I don't know how formats work. I've been given a story that has the pair on Earth. Before they really get to meet the two curious teachers. Susan and the Doctor have been in the Coal Hill area for about 4 months, at least from what I can remember and gather from this. And of course, they've attracted a secretive group who put them under surveillance. This includes an ex-colonel posing as a teacher at school, the staff of Magpie Electronics, and Cedric, a kind of a secretive agent of sorts who's more or less a love interest for Susan in the story. Much of the plot centers around alienation. For example, there's a cafe that's ran by a nice old Jewish lady, given a lot of chances for reminders of World War II. Which is useful, as it turns out, since the actual threat is from an artifact that crashed nearby a war zone during that time. 4 months ago, building work was disturbed, and blah, 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 blah. Again. 4 months ago, building workers disturbed its rest, and it began experimenting on the local youth by the medium of pop music and mind control. Yep, I'm listening to the Doctor Who story, alright. This all gives Susan plenty of a chance to listen to her trusty transistor radio. Also, for gangs of youth to attack our heroes, giving us some moments of tension. And the premise of a really shitty horror movie if you're not careful. We even have a mysterious message from Radio Caroline to Susan and Cedric, promoting Bob Dylan. That'll be important in a few minutes. Stay with me here. The feel is very well linked to the opening of An Unearthly Child, and I like the bits linking the other little bits. Magpie Electronics, for example, was a reference from all the way in Series 2 of the modern series, Idiot's Lantern. And plus, I can more than tell you that strange voice that I mentioned a second ago was the 11th Doctor giving a message to Susan. Before I get ahead of myself, I think I need to explain what this is supposed to be a part of. There's a ton of things happening in the anniversary year. For example, IDW's been doing Prisoners of Time, a 12-issue maxi series, focusing, at least the first 11 issues focusing on each Doctor. There's also other coming events like Big Finish Light at the End, and tons of other stuff. This was something that Audio Go, the BBC's audiobook company, was working on. This was technically produced by Big Finish Productions, who did the work on Quinnis, but was sold as an Audio Go product. It's in the style of this series is somewhat similar to Companion Chronicles, whereas Chronicles does the way they tell their story is it's more of a character telling you a story. This is straight up third-person narrative, just like a standard audiobook, with first-person action cut in, of course. And we have Carolyn Ford back, and she does a good job of being young Susan, and we also have another actor, Tam Williams, who plays Cedric. That's his primary role. Ford, for all the other dialogue bits, like Hartnell, like in Quinnis, or anyone else, is all done by her. I like their characters fine. Cedric himself sort of is in that same mold of another character who shows up in a story called Remembrance of the Daleks, who portrayed the companion of that story. and they were sort of forming a, kind of a relationship, at least, flirting here and there. This is going to feel short, but honestly, it's a good hour. It's a straightforward story. You get the setting, which was good to see what exactly life was like when the Doctor and Susan, basically show up in their first adventure with the two teachers from Unearthly Child. And it's also cool to see how they would handle it. I mean, this is the 60s. I mean, yeah, we're paranoid now, but it was an even stranger time where we didn't know much. The unknown really did scare us to no end. If I had to have any flaws pointed out here, there's a bit of a... The themes seem to be repeated a lot. Like I said, the story tends to focus on alienation, but they seem to cross into that territory where it's not as much... delivering the message subtly enough. It's more like they painted it on a 2x4 at times and are threatening to hit you with it. Like, they're trying to get their message across, and I think it's a little bit too, just too much repetition there. Also, and this is a nitpick, but this was weird, there's this argument they have about the Beatles versus Bob Dylan, and it felt really heavy-handed and kind of stupid. I mean, yeah, it connects back to the use of rock music and the radio to control the young people. God, I sound older than I actually am, but I really didn't know. I just didn't really care for it. I found it distracting overall. And also, I mentioned that the 11th Doctor shows up here. At first I was not sure if this was going to be a returning element and what exactly this means. It looks like we're going to be looking at the rest of this Destiny of the Doctor series to figure out what exactly the big plan of the 11th Doctor is and what's going on. A good start to this line. It's also a very good place to start. Quinnis, I sadly neglected to say, isn't... I wouldn't say it's a 100% perfect jumping on point. If you have to understand what Quinnis is supposed to be, and it also might help you if you understood some certain things brought up before in the framing device before they go into the Quinnis story proper. Here, it's just a solid adventure. Has the same mood as the original Hartnell era of Doctor Who, and is generally fun and has some nice little references, which was refreshing to see, seeing as Big Finish doesn't have the rights to really mention the modern series in any real capacity. So technically the chance to technically see them kind of mix elements from both classic and new together into something was great to see as well. Yeah, good? Okay, that's about it for today. That was fine. But I got my task for the day done. I have nothing else to worry about, nothing to distract me. Wait. What's this doing here?